Meteorologically, we are now in the season of spring. In the Christian liturgical season, we are now in Lent. For those who study Islam, follow Islam, this is Ramadan. And for those who are Jewish, this is a time of preparation for, of course, Passover. And in all of that, we're thinking about the future. So is the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy. I'm not going to claim convergence, but there certainly is congruence. The Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy is a federally incorporated non-profit corporation with volunteer associates who have lived and worked across Canada. And in the spirit of peace and friendship, we honor the Anishinaabeg of the Three Fires Confederacy, on whose traditional territory our office is located. We have a space at the Western Research Park, Sarnia campus, which is pictured here. Do I get that? Okay. There we go. Thank you. Side buttons. Thank you. Our mission statement is this: to catalyze big energy projects which drive Canada's energy strategy and generate environmentally and economically sustainable wealth and jobs. There's a lot in there. And our purpose today is to give you a brief understanding of the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy by sharing some of our recent successes. First, it's appropriate to remind you of our actions over the last decade. We have hosted several significant events to bring stakeholders together. For example, our 2013 conference on bitumen involved keynote presentations by Frank McKenna, who was a former Premier of New Brunswick and former ambassador to the United States. We also featured a keynote address by Jim Stanford, who was then the chief economist for Unifor. Our 2015 event, called The Big Debate, was between two economists, Jim Stanford of Unifor and Andrew Leach of the University of Alberta. It was moderated by Jeffrey Simpson of the Globe and Mail. Our three major published books were freely distributed to leaders in industry, academia, and government, still available for free on our website. Today, I want to give you a brief understanding of what the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy is doing by sharing some of our recent successes. I won't provide details on all of these successes, but draw your attention that we are engaged with academia, with government, and with industry. As an example of our work with academia, I'll cite some examples of research with Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. I could also show examples of our collaboration with Western University, or the University of Calgary, or the University of Alberta, or Lambton College. But today, it's recent work with some researchers at Queen's. Now, this project on bitumen carbon fiber from oil sands bitumen and other feedstocks examined how to make carbon fiber with a current value of about $200 a kilogram from oil sands bitumen with a current value of less than $1 per kilogram. So it's a huge potential multiplier. This study on the electrification of transport as a driving force for a transition realized that Canada is a big country and we have a real need for vehicles to transport people and goods. Changing from gasoline and diesel for transportation to electricity will be a huge transition for commerce in Canada, as well as for each of us. So this report from a multidisciplinary team came up with a set of recommendations for what we term a robust transition. And there's no downside to having a plan for something that impacts about 10% of Canada's gross domestic product. Hydrogen is a really interesting material. We have to generate it by breaking apart water. As one of our associates said, we have to electrolyze or electrocute water to make hydrogen, or we can turn to hydrocarbons such as natural gas. Moving hydrogen from one place to another is really difficult. As a gas or a liquid, there are significant technical challenges, but there are ways to temporarily bind hydrogen to liquid organic hydrogen substances so that the hydrogen can be moved safely and profitably. And so this report on potential hydrogen carrier technologies pointed the way for us to proceed. Now, the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy has been studying a national electrical corridor or grid for Canada for over a decade. We decided we needed a fresh perspective and we sponsored, again, a multidisciplinary team of researchers at Queen's University to see what they could come up with. And guess what? They looked at this from a different perspective, and with very few differences, what they arrived at is what we have been promoting for a decade as well. We're also engaged with government. We've reached out directly to the Alberta government with regards to carbon fiber industry based on the oil sands materials that we've identified. And we've submitted an idea regarding hydrogen to the Ontario government. We think that Sarnia-Lambton is the logical choice for the location of a designated hydrogen hub. There are good reasons to promote Sarnia-Lambton as a hydrogen hub, so we are collaborating with about 24 other stakeholders here in Sarnia-Lambton to try and make this a reality. And finally, I must note that the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy is not a registered lobbyist. We are not taking a specific idea and aggressively putting it before government bureaucrats and politicians and demanding action. We have prepared what are called white papers to submit them to the relevant persons in government, not just the politicians, but also the background people, the policy analysts, and the bureaucrats. So we've prepared several. We've also shared these on our website for everybody to have a look at. The first one was looking at electric vehicles in the oil sands, because we looked at what would be what is called by economists demand destruction on fuels. As the number of electric vehicles increases, the need for oil sands for fuel should decrease. And most analysts look at the very low number of electric vehicles that are added to the fleet each year. Just a few hundred to a few thousand. We're just at a few percent sales each year. Our insight was that it's not the incremental increase year by year, but rather it is the total fleet around the world, global fleet, that is going to create the biggest demand destruction. Right now, it's not just a few thousand EVs that are added each year that are the key. It's the fact that globally we have almost 20 million electric vehicles that are no longer requiring fuel. That is going to change the demand for hydrocarbon fuels in the future. Powering Canada towards 2050 and beyond is a detailed analysis of what is needed to electrify everything in Canada. And we have one additional aspect that other analysts seem to ignore. We want our current quality of life to continue. The conclusion is that we need to triple the amount of electricity that is generated in Canada by 2050. It isn't impossible, but it will be difficult. And we need to note that this will be a very positive economic impact if we do this correctly over the next 25 years. Turning the barrel upside down. We took this message about turning the oil barrel upside down directly to the people and the politicians of Alberta by delivering the message at an oil sands conference a couple of years ago. What we mean is that the properties of a barrel of oil sands, crude, is more valuable for the non-fuel components than it is for when you turn it into gasoline or diesel fuel or jet fuel. Canada can use this resource for making carbon fibers, for very long-lasting asphalt for our roads, and not just burn the stuff. Finally, how green is blue or green hydrogen? In the press, you can find mention of more colors of hydrogen than there are colors in a bag of Smarties or a box of crayons. Governments are slowly getting away from the popular names of colors to describe hydrogen. Brown, gray, blue, green, all the other colors that are mentioned are just a shortcut to trying to describe how much carbon is actually released when the hydrogen is produced. So one of our associates has prepared a very concise white paper to help governments identify and for academics to be able to provide a taxonomy for how to describe hydrogen in future rules. And we will continue to develop white papers because it's the right thing to do as we engage with governments and with bureaucrats. Dr. Richard Marceau was an inspiring associate of the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy, and we've named a recurring symposium to honor him. A very important legacy of Dr. Marceau is the bridging between academia and industry. The Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy is a think tank and often considered to be part of academia when we aren't. With the recurring energy symposia, we've built a reputation as an organization that can and does bridge between academia and industry. 3 times now, we have presented the Richard Marceau Energy Symposium to share our research and focus with members of industry across Canada. On average, we connect with about 100 people for each symposium, and each event honors Richard Marceau's legacy. We've enjoyed the reminiscences of one who holds the Richard Marceau Engineering Chair at a university, the fond memories of one who shared his time with Richard Marceau at the head of an association of engineers, and as well the time and memories of one who was just a very, very good friend. And in November 2021, at the 3rd Richard Marceau Energy Symposium, we released a major report on our own research. This extends the work published in our prior 3 books. We spent over a year to prepare descriptions of 3 nation-building projects, including a carbon fiber industry for Canada, storage of hydrogen in underground salt caverns, and a national electrical grid. We solicited and received expert opinion regarding the viability of each project. And this report is on our website, and our conclusion is that each project can push Canada towards a sustainable energy future, and that the projects are not mutually exclusive. Canada can undertake all of them at the same time. And associates of the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy have taken our messages and research to conferences in the past. To keep our focus on recent events, we've had speakers attend these conferences and meetings. The Oil Sands Conference and Trade Show was in Fort McMurray, Alberta. The Petrochem Canada Conference was here in Sarnia, Ontario. And it's satisfying that in each case, the organizers of the conference invited the Bowman Centre to actively participate in the event. And we do not pretend that we have all the expertise amongst the associates of the Bowman Centre. That is why we've embarked on an effort to invite experts to speak to us. And we've opened up the opportunity to others to share our interests. The first webinar was on small modular reactors, or SMRs. And Ontario was joined with Saskatchewan and New Brunswick to move forward on the commercial construction of the first new nuclear reactor, a small modular reactor. It'll be positioned near Nanticoke. The Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy is federally incorporated nonprofit, but we are still making contributions to Canada's economy. For example, some of the intellectual property we've developed has been used by a development company to bring those ideas to market. And we now own the ProGrid decision-making software. It's being updated to provide further support and to be available on a secure online platform. Finally, we are still making plans for a future conference to push forward a sustainable energy future for Canada. But as you know, a group of volunteers trying to get together to do something significant can take a little bit more coaxing and cajoling than usual. With the energy sector generating or representing almost 10% of Canada's GDP, we are sure that this will be and is a positive contribution to the economy. It's important to us that you understand that we are all volunteers. Right now, we have about 24 associates across Canada, and we continue to build our reputation as a reliable collaborator and partner with others. Our founder was Dr. Clem Bowman, and we value the reputation that comes with that name. I'll pause to acknowledge that there are some associates of the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy who have passed away in the last decade as well. And because this is about the only recognition that they get, please take a moment to read the last couple of lines and note the 4 members of our executive who try to keep things on track. The easy way to find us is online. We have a website, a Facebook page, a LinkedIn page, and an email address. Yes, we have an office, but we use it only once a month. Again, everything is handled by volunteers. Again, I'll pause for just a moment to acknowledge that Dr. Clem Bowman died in October of 2021. He was our founder, he was a friend, and we will continue with his vision. Thank you for your time and your attention. The associates of the Bowman Centre for Sustainable Energy are busy and will continue to contribute what we can to a sustainable energy future for Canada.